Welcome to episode 14 of Teacher's Lift. The end of the semester is finally here, and in this episode, our hosts from PolyU take a moment to reflect with two of their colleagues, Don Gillis and Eric Ho, about the challenges that we have faced as teachers over the past semester. These problems range from abruptly going online to the new roles that we've had to take on to keep teaching and learning moving forward during social unrest and the coronavirus pandemic. Now I'll turn things over to Jessica and Eric over at PolyU. Happy end of the semester, guys.
What do you think, Jessica? How are you feeling?
I think today's a day worth celebrating. Agree?
It is, yes. The end of the semester. We all love that.
Yes, and we have two very special guests with us to kind of reflect, but also just to talk about what happened this semester from a teacher's point of view. So we have with us, Eric, you want to do the introductions?
Yes, we've got a couple of blue-collar, rank-and-file teachers with us, down in the engine room. They're the ones on the front line. They're the ones shoveling the coal, doing the grunt work. So can we please welcome to the lift Miss Dawn Gillis and Mr. Eric Ho, two very dear friends of ours. Thank you for being with us today.
Hi, thank you for having me, and I'm sure Eric Ho thinks the same.
Yeah, thank you very much for the invitation.
Eric, you just came from like a session with the student, right?
Right, it's it was a PhD student. She would like to improve her cover letter and resume.
Yeah, that's just the kind of things that we do this semester, just like work with students individually online, like PhD students, just like what Eric was talking about. Frontline teachers just really just meeting with students online and trying to help them through this semester.
On this last day of the semester, these two frontline teachers. First of all, how many classes do you each teach this term?
I had six classes, so two different subjects, but 6 classes. So a very full.
How many students altogether is that?
I just realized a few days ago that I have about 140 because I'm thinking I've got to mark 140 videos next week.
Wow. And how about you, Eric?
I got 2 EAP classes and 1 film literature class. So for the EAP classes, 23 students each, the film literature 40.
Yeah. So between you two, we've got 180 students represented here, 180 students taught this semester in an online format. So now that we're here on the last day of the semester, looking back on this online teaching, first of all, I'm happy to see you both survived.
Barely.
You're both looking well, yeah. So how did you survive, though? How did you survive these last 13 weeks?
Eric?
Okay, so how did I survive? Very good question. I kind of took it easy, and then whenever I got question, I went to Dawn. Okay, very knowledgeable. Actually, the psychological support from colleagues was really, really helpful for us to survive in this very special and unusual occasion. I think even though students are digital native and they are very, very good at using technology, still there are lots of problems, technical problems, as well as students' academic problems. So actually this semester, we got more problems to deal with. So, we are also very new to these online classes. That's why college support was very important this semester. What about you, Dawn?
Oh, I don't know if I survived. It's the last day of the term, and I can't believe it. It's been a very long term. Usually I find the semesters fly by. You get into your groove, and they go by so quickly. And of course, by the time the last week comes, you are tired and you're burnt out, but you feel, okay, where did those last 3 or 4 months go? But this has been really dragging, and it's been long, it's been exhausting. Just what you mentioned, Erico, about dealing with other problems. Yeah, like, of course, it's not just about the tech side of things. It's just dealing with a lot of emails with a lot of questions coming from students as well. A lot more than I would have normally had in a face-to-face semester. So yeah, it's just, I felt like I was always available almost, where normally I would set my clear boundaries that I kind of only would check work things up until 6 o'clock Monday to Friday. But now I found in the evening times and on weekends, I was checking my phone a lot, checking the messages, trying to get back to students, because some of them had legitimate questions where they needed some help with things, and others not so much. But yeah, with all of that combined, it was very, very draining. But again, what Erico said, it was really nice to have the support system around. I mean, there have been some teachers here at campus as well as online, so it was good to get some feedback and ideas from our colleagues.
Yeah, I agree. There's much less of a separation between your work life and your home life in this format, isn't there? Because you never know. If you teach online, then you're really teaching 24 hours a day, because you've got to make yourself available to the students.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. You know, like I never felt that I had a break. Whereas when I would do our normal 13-week face-to-face semester, yeah, of course it's busy, but I really was good at dividing that work-life balance buzzword that goes around. But with this, it was really tough. Like I said, I was getting so many messages and emails at all different times, and yes, I could have not replied to them. I know that was my own doing, but you can't help when you see the email and you're like, oh, okay, this will take me 10 seconds to answer. Like the student has a good question or whatever, maybe a not so good one, but yeah, I just found I was always available. So partly my own doing, I guess, maybe all my own doing.
But I think that really, I think it's who you are, Dawn, because you're always so nice to the students. Like when you have like class, like on campus, face to face, you're really known as like the teacher who is so kind and so helpful in a way. So I was I was just wondering, like, did you get a lot of questions during class time, like when you're teaching online, or no?
Very few.
Very few
questions, and I think that was the major problem, because in a face-to-face lesson, the student may not be confident to speak out in front of the whole class, but they would be confident to stay behind. Mm-hmm. So you would always stick around the classroom for maybe 5 to 20 minutes later after your lesson wrapped up, just to give some extra help, maybe to an individual student or a small group, or sometimes the whole class if they all kind of heard the question and they lingered around. So yeah, but during the online time, I got very few questions, very few, and that was the problem. And I did as much as I could with concept checking, the best way you can in this kind of setting, by doing things with the poll and all these other tools. But yeah, I would still get questions, and some of them were not so good. Things like I wrote 100 words more than the essay requirement. Is that good? Is that okay? And no, it's not okay. No, read the guidelines. So there was a lot of these little questions that students could have easily found out themselves, or they would normally check for clarification during the face-to-face time, but they weren't doing that. They were emailing it at all hours of the day.
Yeah. Did you, because I know that some of our colleagues, they set like online consultation sessions, or they just ended class like 10 minutes early and said, I will be here for following 10 minutes, if you have any questions, please let me know. I did that, but all of my students would just say bye, 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 and they would just leave. Like they wouldn't stay there to answer, to ask questions. Eric Poe, did you experience that as well? Like students not really voicing their questions during the online sessions?
Right. I actually always welcome questions, but usually there were no questions from students. I'm not sure, but somehow, the online setting is very different from face-to-face setting. We actually were not sure what students were doing while having our online classes. They may be distracted and they may have less oversights, okay? And then they may not be that motivated when teachers were not around them, okay? So it's very difficult to set norms at the very beginning of the semester. So that's why, throughout the semester, this experience was quite frustrating to me as well. Yeah, very difficult. But like towards the end of the lecture, I usually had 30 minutes, okay, to welcome questions. Usually there were more questions just before the assessment weeks. Yeah, but then the week after assessment, very quiet. It seems I guess they were also exhausted from online learning as well as doing assessment without having a teacher around them. Yeah.
And I personally find it very challenging or even frustrating at times, because even during consultations with students, they don't turn on their video. So then I can't really see them. And so I can't really tell if they understand my feedback or not. So I just keep asking, is what I, do you understand what I'm saying? Does it make sense to you? They would always say yes, but then, I just feel like, are you not telling me something? I just constantly feel like I'm not getting the students to really express themselves or to understand what they're actually saying. So that was really frustrating for me as well.
Yes, actually, I also feel bad about this, because in a physical classroom, when we teach, we can actually pick up on the nonverbal cues, like we can know whether students are bored or not, whether they are confused or not. We can observe the signals and address how we are teaching and what we are teaching. But in this online environment, very, very difficult. I'm not sure if they understand or not. Sometimes I'm also very puzzled about their understanding. So I actually wanted to give them a lot of support, like how we did in physical classroom previously, but it was very difficult. I would like to have some tips on this.
Dawn, do you have any tips?
Oh boy, no. No, I think I feel the same as all of us here today, that I think that was probably the hardest part. Was you mentioned about me being nice. Well, it's probably not just me, but a big thing of teaching, as we all know, is the rapport, especially our type of classes. We're not lecturers. So we don't stand in front of 200 or 300 students and simply lecture and walk away. We develop a relationship with our students. And I think that was the hardest thing of all for me, was that I really didn't know them on a personal level. I don't know what their faces look like. I don't even know what most of their voices are. I don't know their real strengths and weaknesses, because all that I really see are the assessment papers. And of course, we know that sometimes students are fantastic test takers and sometimes they're not. But in the classroom, they can do far better than that, or the opposite, of course. But yeah, I just didn't know anything about them. And of course, I didn't know if they really understood. And then based on the kinds of emails I was getting, asking sometimes questions that were already covered over a few lessons and some basic things, that it told me, okay, they really weren't paying attention. So I agree with you, Jessica, that was really challenging, that you couldn't see their face, you couldn't read their body language, you didn't know if somebody was actually sleeping in the corner or not, because you couldn't see them.
But what were some things that you tried, like just to establish the relationship with them? Because I know that was something you wanted to do. That was one of your goals.
I think I have become a professional, what's the term, clicker now. I have tried just about every kind of online tool or game that came across my path. So in the past, I have only really used on a regular basis like Kahoot or Socrative, but then I learned a few other tools because I really wanted to shake it up a bit, and I didn't want the lesson to be teacher focused, because of course our face-to-face lessons wouldn't be teacher focused either. So in the first 7 or 8 weeks, it was really exhausting, because it was not only changing the subject materials around, like flipping the lessons, it was creating these new gimmicks, if we want to call them, in order to keep the class dynamic and as interactive as possible. Because my goal was, although we had to be online, I really had to figure out a way to give it the same quality of teaching as I would in a face-to-face lesson. And for me, that is highly interactive classroom environment. So I really tried my best to incorporate some of these tools into my lessons. And I got a lot of positive feedback from it. I've just conducted my own feedback to find out what students liked and didn't like. And they had a lot of positive comments about these clickers. So that's
Congrats.
that was my main trick.
I want to go back to something you said
secret.
earlier, Dawn, which was about the relationship part, because I think not enough is being made about, this element. A lot of us got into this profession because it's a people job, it's a face-to-face job, it's a chance for us to interact and connect with other human beings. But of course, it's difficult, as you said, in this format, especially when they're not, showing their face or turning on their mic, or you don't see the students. You only know them by a vague name and maybe what they submit. But over the course of these, over these past few months, and we, to be fair, we at PolyU have had a lot more experience than a lot of the schools in the world right now that are just trying to struggle and to adapt to this at the moment. We've been doing this for a while, but it's interesting to reflect that we've still had some, significant difficulty even now, 5, 6, 7 months later. But over those months, did you do anything to make this experience feel more quote unquote human?
Yeah, I think actually there were quite a few days where I didn't actually teach for the first 10 or 15 minutes. I really just sat, and I sat here in my office and I kind of just talked about life and the weather and whatever, and I was getting some feedback. There was one student that actually turned on the camera and started talking, and then a couple of others were messaging in the chat and putting some emoticons and things like this. So I think that helped a bit. And also I send quite a few emails. I always send an email at the end of the lesson just to recap the things that we have covered and things I'd like them to, or just reminders of things of what we're going to be doing in the future. So but I try to address it on a really personal level rather than dear students or something. So like I would say things like, hello everyone, or hello my lovely students, things like this. And then I would get responses addressing me the same way. Hello my lovely teacher. So I think that helped a bit, just to try to put to add some personal elements to it, because you didn't have that relationship with them, like the face-to-face. We're not a lecturer style class or lecture style class. So yeah, it was really important to try to get some kind of relationship developed. I don't know how successful I was. We'll see, I guess, but I feel it worked, but I gave it my all, and I can't do anything more than that.
Yeah, to touch upon that, the email situation, I would get kind of annoyed if I get emojis or informal kind of content when students send me emails. But this semester, I found myself liking that. I don't know if you guys agree or if you've experienced that. Like when students send me an email and they include like a smiley face or something, I feel like I get to know you a little bit more. And so I found myself putting some emojis in the reply as well, which I would have never, ever done. I don't know about you guys. Eric's, like, have you like just experienced like connecting with students on a more personal level and doing some things that you never did in the previous semesters?
But very similar to Dawn's practice. Every morning when I got to teach in my office, because my home is very tiny and there are lots of people in my home. So that's why, anyway, every morning when I came back, I took a few pictures of PolyU campus, because actually some of our students have not come back since November last year. They really, really miss the campus. I showed them American diners. I showed them how the canteen looks like. I show them our coffee shop is closed, something like that. Okay, and then get them talk. Usually, they are very hesitant to switch on their webcam, but they are very okay to switch on their microphone. Okay, so apart from this, usually we could start the online lesson in a very harmonious and very positive environment. But when we started touching on the content, then I'm not sure. Okay. And then before each assessment, usually I offered individual consultation. But during that consultation, the first 15-20 minutes, usually I ask them very personal questions like how you are doing at home, any academic problems that we can actually help. Are you able to catch up the content? What about the assignments? Blah, blah, blah. Usually they would feel better after sharing their academic problems, because there is nobody for them to share with at home. This is one major thing that I have done in order to, kind of establish a better relationship with my students, even though I haven't seen their faces.
What you said about sending them pictures got me a little bit emotional. Like to be honest, because I haven't been back on campus. I've been on maternity leave in semester 1, so I actually did not experience what all of you did. And I haven't been back on campus for quite some time. But the first time I walked back on campus and seeing the broken glass, those sites got me a little bit emotional. And I think for students, for Eric to send them the pictures, to show them the classrooms, I think that really would have opened them up to talking. Like Dawn, Eric, have you ever maybe talked to students about what happened in a previous semester to check on them, if they're okay? Like just to have a conversation.
All right, Jessica, before they answer that, let me just clear it up for all those listeners out there who don't know what we're talking about. Back in November of last year, PolyU was the subject of a multi-day police siege where the student demonstrators occupied the campus, and then the police blockaded it. I'm sure many of them have heard about this in the news, but just to clarify, this is what we're referring to when Jessica asked this question. So, without further ado, I'll turn it over to our guests to answer.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't think I directly spoke about it, but I definitely had students that asked me what the campus looks like because they knew I was teaching out of the office. And I really liked that you did that, Eric, that you sent photos. Now I wish I did that. But but yeah, I did get quite a few questions at the start of the semester. Students chatting, what does the campus look like? Is your office okay? Are things okay? So yeah, I think that they were quite curious about it. And but I guess for me, we never really directly spoke about the political siege and things that happened here, but there was just more curiosity about the campus. But in this last week, students did express to me that they are really looking forward to coming back to the campus, that they're excited just to get back into the environment, you know, and have a classroom and have a cafeteria to go to and the library and so on. So I think that's really important, and they are very much looking forward to
Eric,
it.
you were there, weren't you, at that time?
Yes, I was here at that time.
Right.
You mean in November, right?
Not during the blockade, right?
Right. It's like the day before the D-Day. Yeah, I was there. But I think I was lucky to get them talk about their personal lives because the literature subject that I'm teaching has a session on self-identity and friendship. So they, after showing them some photos, they would just talk about, they really miss their friends, teachers, or just buildings, trees, grass on campus. They started believing that, trees, grass, or whatever plants are also their friends at PolyU. They really, really miss everything. So it was good that they really talked about how they felt during this very special occasion. And they would be more concentrated after sharing their very negative emotions before we started our online class. So this is one way we can do that. Again, there's nobody that they can really share with because they always found that their parents do not really understand them. Yeah, they also talk about this, that their parents do not understand them. They are fighting for a laptop computer for the online class, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, lots of problems. Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel like our students have gone through a very challenging semester. Like what you said, Eric Ho. Like if you're in an environment where you don't feel like you have the privacy, you don't feel like you have the personal space to even just be, or let alone learn. I have actually a student who I gave him some tasks to record short videos and upload them to a platform where it's very easy for everyone to watch each other's videos, very user-friendly. So then I started to use that at the end of the semester. Then I got almost everyone uploading videos, like 2-minute videos. Then I actually got to see the background, like where they're at. There's this one student who was always at PolyU. And because I had an evening lecture, the student always had like a really dim background like in the corridor with like very dim lights. And I just felt like, oh my goodness, I want to give you a B just because, just because you're trying. I didn't that, but yeah, just seeing where they're at. And then I got to talk with him and he said, yeah, I go back to campus every single day because I have classes every single day and I don't have good internet connection at home, and so I'm just on my phone a lot, and so I'm very sorry if I couldn't do this and this and this, and gave me a lot of just encouragement, knowing that actually when we think students may not be paying attention, but there are students who are really just trying their best to give you their all when we're trying to give them our all as well. So that was just one moment that I really felt like touched my heart. Any of those moments for you guys, like towards the end of the semester, like just realizing something about a student or realizing something that really touched you?
I would say I did get an email, maybe like the 5th week of teaching or something, from a student that she wrote me and said, I'm so sorry. I know that you would really like it if we turned on our cameras, but she said something like, due to the privacy of my home and my family, I cannot do that. And it was the way that she worded it, and she was very apologetic. So it made me think, okay, maybe she actually doesn't live in nice living conditions, perhaps. And there was a few times that I was speaking to her on the microphone, and it was very noisy. Like, it sounded like there was lots of people around her, like family members. So maybe she lived in a very small space, and it was very difficult for her to study. But she did. She came online at the same time every week, and definitely participated in the lessons. So that was something that really stands out. Oh, and I got to meet 3 students of mine face to face. They were doing a presentation, a group project, and there was 5 of them in a group, and 3 of them decided that they would rather just come on campus. So they got permission to get on campus, and they came on and they messaged me and said, we are just down in the next building. Can we come over and meet you? And I said, absolutely. And when they walked in, it was so nice. Part of me felt like crying, because I was like, wow, real students. I haven't seen real students. And at that point, it was in 4 months or 5 months. So, and they stayed here for about 30 minutes, just talking about what's been going on. They were fourth year students. So graduating, talking about what happened in November. And unfortunately for them, it's a rough way to end their university, right? They haven't been on campus since November, and they're not coming back on. So it was nice to meet them. It was a really nice thing that stands out in my mind. How about you, Eric Ho? Did you have anything similar?
Kind of similar. There was one girl who really knocked my door one afternoon. She came back to, like, just a few weeks ago. They got to come back to submit something. I actually didn't ask, but she just told me that she was my film literature course student. And then I opened the door, I asked, who are you? And then she said, I'm taking your literature course. Oh, you are Eric. You look much better than what I see in the camera. Because I look very fat in the camera. That's what she told me. But it was really nice that a student really come back and check you out, whether you are safe in office or not. But it's good to have some, some face-to-face connection. They really, actually, she didn't need to come to, this side of campus, but she made her way, to my office and check me out, and really wanted to have some verbal face-to-face conversation. Yeah, it was really touching, and I really finally realized how important I am as a teacher at Poly.
Now that you bring that up, Eric, I think that's a good point. And just following up on what Dawn said, reflecting back on over the last 7 months that we've been doing that, do you think our job descriptions have changed somewhat, or our duties? Do we have more of a pastoral, or do we have more of a duty of care with the students now with the pandemic and the some of the social unrest, which of course is going to continue, right?
Absolutely. I think our role has changed a lot, even before, let's say, November. Things started to get pretty intense in Hong Kong during the last summer of last year. So even coming back in semester 1 in September of 2019, there was already quite a lot of tension and demonstrations happening on our campus. So I think our roles as teachers really changed a bit. You know, like I do think that we have more of a sense of duty of care, and then of course when the siege happened, there was definitely a few days where all of us didn't know whether our students were hurt and where they were and so on. So I think we were all greatly impacted by those events. And then there was quite a buzz in the air around here for the first 2 weeks of January, because we were meant to open right after the Chinese New Year. And there was a lot of colleagues around. There was actually quite a lot of buzz in the centers and the departments. And then of course it didn't happen. We didn't come back. We got these emails over the Chinese New Year holiday to say that campus was closed. And yeah, and so I think everybody was in such a shock, because especially here, I would say at PolyU, because of what happened in the previous semester. So it was definitely shocking. And then yeah, you become a bit more like a counselor, and you become more involved with the students. So although I feel that I missed that rapport with the students in semester 2 because I never met them, I still feel that I had some connection to them, and I feel that again it's my own doing. I was always checking up on them, you know. So hence why I was let's say responding to messages after 6 o'clock.
Going back to what you said at the beginning,
yeah.
You know, being absolutely exhausted from the online teaching over the last few months, being absolutely spent. You know, maybe this is the reason why, right? Maybe it's because that, you know, we're craving this human element and the students are also craving it. They also need it, and we're kind of we're meeting them halfway. And this is of course, you know, increases our workload, increases what we have to do. But there's you know, we're no longer just in the classroom. It seems we are everywhere, and they are everywhere too. So. I don't know. Maybe this could be one possible explanation for the workload, or online teaching is just hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a combination of both. It's difficult to teach this way, but yes, we have our roles have definitely changed, and so I think that is a major contributing factor to my exhaustion.
Mm. Yeah. And I don't know how your classes ended this week, but I've got 2 classes where students didn't realize this was the last class. And so when I said goodbye and I said, I hope to see you on campus one day, there were students like, why? Like they were asking why. I was like, well, I do hope to see you on campus. And they're saying, oh, is this the last class? Like I think for students, they're exhausted too, but I think we're kind of lost in a way. Like we don't have the sense of time. It's not like a 13-week semester where students are also thinking, okay, when does this end? I think sometimes we just get the sense of, okay, maybe we still have like 2 more weeks or 3 more weeks going on. And I think that's what students are feeling as well. Maybe they kind of like this online momentum that is going on, where they get to talk to people or they get to listen to teachers, and they like that element, maybe just like what Eric is saying, like maybe we all crave this human element.
I've had students tell me every week that they wished that we could come back for a face-to-face lesson. All of my classes, they've told me, they said it on the microphone, they've written it in the chat, they've sent me an email saying how much that they wished that they could finish the semester face to face. Yeah. So I know that they're definitely missing the human interaction with their peers and with the teacher.
Yeah. And I think that's what's happening here as well. I think we're way over time, but we're still chatting because we just enjoy this so much. And I think, it's a great sign that we might
before we go,
soon.
Dawn and Eric, if you had to sum up the semester in a word or two, what would you say?
Eric?
Let me think.
As
How
many
many
as you want.
words?
As many as you want.
The semester was cognitively demanding, yet very rewarding.
Wow.
Oh.
In terms of professional development.
Yes, there we
Yes. What about you, Dawn?
go. I don't think I would sound that positive other than the professional development. Yes. It's been a learning curve, a learning experience for us all, for students as well. For me, being thrown in this whole new element where I've had no experience in online teaching, having to flip my courses around the class, like and all the content. So yeah, it's been exhausting. It's been draining. I don't think that I can say too many positive things other than it's definitely taught me a lot and made me realize that okay, I'm capable of a lot more than what I thought as far as a teacher goes, because this experience took me out of my element. So I don't know if that's good yet, but we'll find out.
A lot of schools are beginning to reopen, and they're grappling with these questions, right? And
one thing that I will say with a couple of my classes who are final year students, a few of them had commented that they were my radio guest because it really did feel like I was on a radio show. That I was leading the radio show, and you could see if somebody was chatting. So then I would say, "Oh, hold on, we've got a caller now," and somebody was chatting or somebody was trying to get their mic on. And and it turned into this running joke that welcome to Dawn's radio show. Ben, welcome. You are my first caller today. Tell me, what is the blah blah blah? It really turned into some sort of game. Again, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not. But
it's a great thing, Dawn. You'll be able to host the next episode of the
Exactly, that was what I was gonna say. Eric, meet your new partner, Dawn.
Radio show. I'm gonna have to add that to my repertoire.
You already have. Thank you. This is Dawn Gillis and Eric Ho. Thank you for being with us today on Live. Great stories as usual.
So much.
And we'd love to have you back, maybe to host.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Well, hope to see you on campus very soon.
Yeah, can't wait to see you on campus.
Together, all of us.
With a drink. Cheers.
Thanks, you all, and good luck with that marking. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Teachers Lift. Teachers Lift is a growing collaborative project created to help give teachers a space to share professional experiences and practices. This podcast was created by colleagues from the English Language Center at the Hong Kong Polytechnic University, the Center for Applied English Studies at the University of Hong Kong, and the Center for Language Education at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. We hope you can support this effort by letting us know you're listening. Just log in to teacherslift.com and find our links on most social media platforms where you can like and subscribe. If you subscribe to this podcast using the app of your choice, you'll be notified whenever we add a new episode. Add oil, everyone. We'll make it through those folders filled with student work ready to be marked. Summer is almost here. This episode was recorded on May 15, 2020.